Something weird showed up on a zoo's cameras, a creature with 4 legs, wings, and horns that none of the staff could explain. Over in Scotland, a Loch Ness skipper picked up a massive, unidentifiable shape on sonar that left him completely speechless. And in New Jersey, a man snapped a photo of what looked like the legendary Jersey Devil. These are creatures from folklore that were caught on camera. In October of 2024, staff at the Bristol Zoo project were going through footage from their night vision camera traps when they found something really strange. In the middle of Bear Wood, a 7.5-acre enclosure where bears, wolves, wolverines, and lynxes roam, the cameras picked up a strange 4-legged creature. It had what looked like wings and horns. Obviously, none of the zoo's animals matched it. And for weeks, people had been saying something strange was moving between the trees. Even the animals seemed spooked. Wolves and wolverines don't usually pay much attention to the usual wildlife like deer, but this time they did. They seemed spooked by something. Well, they still have no idea what this creature was. Some people think it's just a deer caught in like a weird angle, maybe with motion blur making the ears look kind of like wings, but others think maybe Bristol now has its own local legend. Well, it's not often we get news about Nessie, but here we are. Just back in January, something strange showed up on one of the live webcams overlooking Loch Ness. A regular visitor named Andy caught it moving near the shore, heading towards Sherry Island, then turning around and slipping back out into deeper water before vanishing. He said it was cruising along for a few minutes between 4:41 and 4:48 in the afternoon. Andy's been coming to Loch Ness since the late 80s. He's familiar with the environment and normal wildlife around the loch, but this was something else. The group that runs the webcam, Loch Ness Exploration, said the footage was worth sharing because it wasn't just another random wave or boat ripple. Whatever the thing was, it looked pretty big, and this isn't the first time. In August of 2023, an Irish Nessie fan named Owen O'Fadigan spotted something on a webcam as well. He described seeing a large black hump that popped up, moved across the water, then dipped back under as a boat got close. Owen said fish do not have wakes. The movement was uncharacteristic of a seal or an otter. Only the Loch Ness Monster is the obvious choice. What you're looking at here is a sonar image taken at Loch Ness. On September 22nd, 2024, a skipper named Sean Sloggy was out on Loch Ness doing his usual rounds when something strange popped up on his sonar screen. Sean's been working these waters for years, but he's never seen anything quite like this. The strangeness of it was chilling. It's the sort of thing that leaves you speechless, he said. Sean was with maritime pilot Liam McKenzie that day, just getting ready for another boat to arrive, when the sonar suddenly lit up. There was a massive object sitting about 320 feet down. Sean's used to spotting all kinds of weird fish and shapes on sonar, but this thing was massive. The shape looked long and stretched out, and Sean noticed there were what seemed like air pockets inside, something you wouldn't normally see with regular fish or logs even. They tried to circle back and find it again, but whatever it was had completely disappeared. We're not sonar experts, but I've never seen anything like it, Sean went on to say. In October of 2015, a man named Dave Black was driving near a golf course in Little Egg Harbor Township, New Jersey, when he saw something that looked like a deer or maybe a llama walking along, but then it suddenly sprouted wings and flew off into the trees. Dave managed to snap a quick blurry photo on his phone though, and sure enough, there was this dark creature with big wings and what looked like hooves dangling beneath it. Dave had no idea what he was looking at. And when news of the photo came out, he stuck to his story, insisting that he was not trying to mess with anyone, that he really saw it and had no explanation. The photo blew up online and got everyone in New Jersey talking about the Jersey Devil again, a legendary winged creature that's supposedly haunted the Pine Barrens since the 1700s. Back in November of 2007, a Fresno homeowner known only as Jose to the media got spooked by his dogs barking at night, and he checked his security camera footage. He couldn't believe what he was looking at. The video shows this tall, skinny white figure gliding across his lawn, almost like living pants. There's no arms or torso, it's just long legs carrying a rounded quote-unquote head on top. Jose was pretty freaked. He woke his brother, saved the clip by pointing a camcorder at his monitor because the system would overwrite the footage. The story blew up after he shared it with Univision, and paranormal investigators also got involved. Even the History Channel covered it as part of fact or faked paranormal files and called it unexplainable. Then in 2011, similar footage was captured at Yosemite National Park showing two of these things together, one smaller, one larger. No one's ever figured out what they were. They're simply known as Fresno nightcrawlers. In February of 2012, farmer Hjortur Jerov, I don't know if I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but I couldn't find a video of anyone pronouncing it online. This dude just happened to spot a prehistoric wolf in his yard. Yeah, once it runs up to the normal sized dog, we really get the full scope of this thing's size. The thing looks like a dire wolf. Now, this is actually a timber wolf, a huge timber wolf, but a timber wolf all the same. The video was shot in Saskatchewan, and the man who shot it said, "I work as a fishing guide in northern Saskatchewan, and I shot this video on one of our trails around the lodge. We get a lot of bears that come around the lodge, but this year we had a black wolf that started to come around for a few days. We spotted the wolf through the window of the kitchen in the lodge, and I made my way outside with the camera. When I started to take pictures, the wolf left, then returned a few minutes later, and that's when Trigger, his dog, took after the wolf. The wolf waited for Trigger to turn away from him, and that's when he grabbed the dog in the back and threw her up in the air right in front of me. Dan fired into the air, and that broke the fight up. The wolf turned and left. We followed the wolf into the bush and shot again to scare him off. The wolf came back 2 more times that day, looking for the dog, we think. Trigger had a few good wounds and cuts, but she's fine now. This next video is captured in Russia. Take a look at this. The footage is from a remote area in Russia, located between the Ural Mountains and the Volga River, close to the Kazakhstan border. So in the video, we've got a car driving down a dark road. The driver and passengers are chatting in Russian, and if you listen closely, you can clearly hear the word Yeti pop up a few times in their conversation. Now, at first, it sounds like they're just having a normal drive, but then we see what we see about 36 seconds into the clip. This blurry, shadowy figure dashes across the road right in front of the car's headlights. The moment it happens, the car immediately slams to a stop and the engine cuts out. Now, as far as what exactly is in the video, it's hard to say. The figure that dashes across the road is too blurry and fast to make out much detail, plus it's white, so it blends in pretty well with the snow, but from what we can see, it doesn't look like any normal animal or person. Next up, we have another strange video out of Florida. Take a look at this one. The video was shot in Edgewater, Florida. Joe Tiller and his wife April were out on the water near Menard May Park when they recorded a massive creature around 12 to 15 feet long. Now, at first, Joe thought that it was just a big manatee, but something was off about it. He described it saying it had huge muscles like shoulders on a bull. It was as if it was rolling its shoulders like a bear underwater. He also pointed out that they didn't see any fur, head, or limbs though. Tiller, who's lived in the area for 5 years working on boats, said he's never seen anything like this. The creature was even grunting, which freaked him out enough to steer clear when it started heading toward a nearby channel. After sharing the video online, it quickly went viral, but no one can agree on what this thing is. Some think it could be a manatee struggling at low tide. Others have even said it could be a black bear crossing the river, but Tiller went on to say, "I can't find any video online that shows manatees to look like this with rolling shoulders." Wow, this is nightmare fuel. I hate how large whatever this thing is, the fact that it looks slightly human, the glowing eyes, all of it is just the last thing I'd ever want to see walking through the forest at night. Not sure where this one comes from originally. If anyone has any more info on it, let me know down in the comments. Alright, I'm gonna finish off with a fun one. In the Mount Rushmore of cryptids, the Loch Ness Monster is right up there with Bigfoot and whoever else you'd want to put on the list. I imagine Mothman would be on there. Anyway, take a look at this. I can't tell you how much I want this to be real. I don't know where this footage comes from originally. All I know is that it looks pretty convincing, but obviously someone made this with some very skillful CGI or AI or whoever knows what eye these days. But I can say this, out of some of the crazier cryptids like the Loveland Frog and the Flatwoods Monster, the idea of a surviving Plesiosaur lurking somewhere out there in the vastness of Earth's waters isn't all that hard to believe. I mean, not only did these things actually actually exist at one point in time, but there's a lot of unexplored water. Who knows what could be out there, really? I highly doubt there's a surviving dinosaur swimming around in Loch Ness, but in other parts of the world where there's more marine life to feast on, sure, maybe. Well, you wanted clear footage of a cryptid. Here it is. It's not often we get supposed Sasquatch footage this clear and up close. Usually these videos are shot from a distance and the creature is almost impossible to make out. I know I say this almost every time I show a Bigfoot video, but understand that I sift through a lot of garbage and I just don't bother putting most of these videos on lists like this because these videos aren't meant to put you to sleep. Although if you use them for that, I'm not offended. Close your eyes, go back to bed. Is this video genuine though? I mean, how can I say for sure? I do like it, I'll say that. There's more going on here than a monkey suit from Party City. This thing looks to have some bulk to it. There's color variation in the fur. If it is a hoax, I think it's pretty well done. Well, this is a freaky piece of footage. Not only is there a massive dead cow floating through the water, there's something under it. Gonna guess that something was involved in the death of the cow. I mean, good lord, look at the size of this thing. There's a full-on dinosaur swimming in this river. Of course, this is a croc or a gator. I couldn't actually find where this video was filmed, but the thing is an absolute beast. I know, very insightful of me. Take a look at this strange photo. Picture was snapped on Navajo land between cornfields and Greasewood, Arizona. It's been making the rounds on social media lately. According to the person who shared it, her aunt snapped the picture at the end of a small canyon after hearing weird noises while tending livestock on her property. There's not much more info about it, other than claims that the creature was seen again a few days later. The family chose not to go after it. They figured it was best to just leave it alone. Wise. Apparently stories about creatures like this have been told in the area for generations though. What do you think of this one? Only explanation that I have outside of this being a genuine Sasquatch, of course, is a black bear. There are black bears in Arizona. I'm not sure if they frequent this specific area. If anyone from Arizona can enlighten me in the comments, that would be great. A video from Buenos Aires this week has gotten people talking about possible demons or something strange. Very strange. This short blurry clip that's been getting shared around quite a bit on social media, at least on the forums I check out, shows what looks like a street or garden in Argentina. Here we can see some sort of bizarre dark figure crawling on all fours toward the camera while a few dogs walk around in the background. The creature seems to have very long spindly limbs, but it's hard to see clearly because it's dark and the video quality isn't really the best. Local news says this happened in the town of Saladillo, and people living there are reportedly scared of whatever it was. Some witnesses have called it demonic and say it has inhuman agility that lets it climb walls and jump between trees. A local firefighter who didn't want to give his name said that, quote, something was going on. Another witness added, he's something big. He doesn't walk on all fours, he walks backwards. He's disjointed, he comes apart, his head is upside down while his body moves in an impossible way. All of that said in Spanish. Of course, this series of photos were posted to Reddit a couple weeks back by SnakeTree1911, who wrote, I work as a land steward in the northeastern part of the US. Part of my job is reviewing images taken by our game cams. We recently pulled a cam from a fairly remote area, which hasn't been checked in a long time. These images caught my eye. None of the naturalists on our staff could ID this thing. I'm not sure if I believe in cryptids or whatever, but I don't know what this thing is. It's not a deer, it certainly isn't a bobcat, and if it's a black bear, it's the biggest one I've ever seen. I included a daytime photo so you can see that it's not just some weird shaped rock or whatever. I don't know, let me know what you think. And I will pose that same question to all you fine people watching. What do you think? Well, anyway, he's an elderly farmer. He set up a camera by a river feeding Lake Lagerflot in East Iceland. He ended up with some pretty crazy footage that's gone on to become the best possible video evidence of the mythical Icelandic lake monster known as the Langerflot worm. The video shows what looks like a serpentine creature drifting just under the icy water, maybe 30 to 90 feet long. The clip went viral around the world, even prompting a local panel to vote 7-6 that it was real and awarded him with a small cash prize. The Langerflot worm's been part of Icelandic folklore since the 14th century, said to be this massive lake monster, sometimes said to be longer than a football field. In August of 2023, photographer Shay Kelly dropped a set of images she'd been holding on to since 2018. She and her husband had been having lunch at an inn on Loch Ness when she caught something gliding through the water about 200 meters offshore. Shay said it was moving, quote, right to left at a steady speed, spinning and rolling at times. We never saw a head or neck. After a couple minutes, it just disappeared and we never saw it again, end quote. At first she thought it might be otters or a seal, but it never came up for air again and it just kept moving. Like a serpent, she continued. Steve Feltham, a well-known Nessie hunter who's been at this for over 30 years, called the photos the most exciting surface shots in decades, saying they are the most compelling surface images of the phenomenon. They still defy explanation. The images show two rounded humps rolling through the water. There's no obvious head or neck, but it definitely doesn't look like otters or divers. Whatever this really was, a Nessie or a massive eel, these are definitely some of the clearest and most intriguing Nessie photos possibly ever. In mid-2023, farmers near Oruro, Bolivia started spotting something weird roaming their fields. One drone video caught this hunched, dark figure standing upright in a crop field. Carlos Flores, who first spotted it in the footage, said, "It is strange. It looks like a dog, but it has a hump further back. Looking at the images, it has the same position as the Chupacabra." Well, this creepy drone footage seemed to trigger fears that the legendary goatsucker had struck again, and a lot of that had to do with the timing of this. Farmers in the area had been finding dead livestock drained of their BLOOD. Some of them took to installing floodlights around their ranches, hoping to either scare it off or actually catch it on camera. The footage itself is not super clear. I mean, it's taken from very far away, but you can definitely see this dark hunched shape in the center of the frame, motionless at first, then shifting, almost like it realizes the drone is watching and scurries away. Imagine strolling on a Long Island beach and finding this thing washed up on the shore. Well, in July of 2008, a woman named Jenna Hewitt and two friends were walking along Ditch Plains Beach in Montauk when they came across this bloated, hairless corpse with a weird beak-like snout and long limbs. Jenna's friend Christina snapped the infamous photo, and the image blew up online within days. People couldn't figure out what it was. Some thought it was some kind of deformed raccoon, maybe a sea turtle without its shell, and of course, some people immediately jumped to secret government experiments. That's because this was pretty close to the old Plum Island Animal Disease Center. Some people were saying that maybe it escaped from some shady lab over there. No one ever officially confirmed what it was. To this day, people still argue about whether it was just a decomposed raccoon or maybe something else. Apparently, this next piece of footage was taken somewhere in Bolivia on April 20th of 2020. The video starts off pretty normal. You see a nice view of the trees, you hear birds in the background, but then you notice it. There's something hovering in the sky. It's not a bird, there's no flapping of wings, plus it's way too big to be a bird anyway. It's certainly not a plane. The object seems to just drift downward, slowly making its way toward the trees before finally vanishing into the tree line. Now, what could it be? A drone? Well, the object is far away, but still pretty easy to make out. This would have to be a pretty sizable drone, right? Well, I don't know. What do you think? Let us know down in the comments.
Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have the Yakumama. Deep in the winding currents of the Amazon River, stories persist about the Yakumama, the legendary mother of water. This isn't your average fish tale. We're talking about a serpent of unimaginable proportions, said to reach lengths of up to 160 feet. Locals believe this colossal creature lurks near the river's mouth, waiting silently beneath the surface. The most unsettling part part, the Yaku is rumored to have the power to suck in anything within a 100-foot radius. Boats vanish without a ripple, and unsuspecting victims are pulled under, leaving nothing but questions behind. Some think it's the river's way of protecting itself, a guardian ensuring that only the respectful may pass. Is there a mammoth serpent hiding in those depths, or are these stories meant to keep thrill seekers at bay? In our number 9 spot today, we have El Tunchi. Walking through the dense Amazon rainforest, travelers might hear a haunting whistle that seems to come from all directions at once. This is El Tunchi, a malevolent spirit said to manifest as an eerie sound echoing through the jungle. Locals warn that the whistle isn't just unsettling, it's a lure. Those who follow it are drawn deeper into the labyrinth of trees and shadows. People who disrespect the jungle, taking more than they need or harming its creatures, are particularly at risk. Many have ventured towards that mysterious sound only to vanish without a trace. Is it just the wind playing tricks, or could there truly be a vengeful spirit guarding the heart of the Amazon? Either way, the legend of El Tunchi adds an unsettling layer to the already mysterious rainforest, reminding us that some paths are better left unexplored. In our number 8 spot today, we have the Mapinguari. Deep within the untamed depths of the Amazon rainforest, locals speak in hushed tones about the Mapinguari, a creature that challenges the boundaries between myth and reality. This towering figure is described as a giant, covered in thick, matted hair that conceals most of its grotesque features. But the most unsettling detail, a gaping mouth right in the middle of its stomach, lined with sharp teeth ready to devour anything or anyone that crosses its path. With claws long enough to carve through tree trunks, the Mapinguari is said to roam the jungle with a fierce sense of territory. Those who've caught a whiff of its presence describe an overpowering stench so vile it can bring a grown person to their knees. Stories tell of unfortunate souls who ventured too far and encountered this beast, never to return. Could this be a surviving remnant of prehistoric times? Perhaps a giant ground sloth that evaded extinction? Or is it a cautionary tale woven to keep explorers wary of the rainforest's hidden dangers? In our number 7 spot today, we have Encantado. Amid the winding rivers and dense foliage of the Amazon, tales abound of the Encantado, a creature as captivating as it is dangerous. Locals speak of these shapeshifters who often take the form of sleek river dolphins, known for their intelligence and mysterious aura. But when the sun dips below the horizon, the Encantado is said to emerge from the water as an irresistibly seductive human, blending effortlessly into nearby villages. With enchanting music and charm that can bewitch even the most guarded hearts, they draw people into their spell. The real peril begins when an Encantado fixates on someone, leading them to the river's edge. Victims are either pulled into the depths, never to surface again, or left with a haunting madness that defies explanation. Stories circulate of festival nights where a stranger's captivating gaze led to a person's disappearance by morning. Could these beings be spirits guarding the secrets of the river, or are they something far more sinister? The legend of the Encantado adds an alluring yet ominous chapter to the rich folklore of the Amazon, reminding us that not all that glitters under the moonlight is benign. In our number 6 spot today, we have the Chulachaki. Stories circulate among Amazonian villages about the Chulachaki, a mysterious entity said to roam the depths of the rainforest. This dwarf-like being has a chilling talent. It can perfectly mimic the appearance and voice of a loved one. People recount instances where they heard a familiar call from the tree line, only to see a friend or family member beckoning them deeper into the woods. Something feels slightly off. A mismatched shoe perhaps, or an unusual gait, but curiosity often overcomes caution. Once the Chulachaki has lured its victim away from the beaten path, the forest seems to shift and change, leaving them hopelessly lost. Many believe that the Chulachaki is the guardian of the jungle, fiercely protecting it from those who would do it harm.
Did a fisherman just capture footage of the real-life gill man? Apparently a guy was fishing near Barnegat Bay in eastern New Jersey when he saw something poke its head out of the water. He had no idea what he was looking at, The more he looked at it, the thing just kept rising and rising until the whole upper half of its body was out of the water, and it was clear that this was not your ordinary animal. I mean, yikes. How'd you like to be swimming in the water with this thing? I gotta say, this creature looks pretty convincing. It definitely gives me the ick, but there are a couple fun comments that I wanna mention as well. One person says, "This is BS. If anyone saw that, they'd run, not record for 3 minutes," which, fair enough. I can see where they're coming from there, but someone else responded, "It's called a stare down. The person out of fear and the frog out of confusion. Hence the term scared stiff." Also a good point, but I really just love that they called this thing a frog. And also someone else commented, "This is what happens when people stop eating frog legs." People just love calling this guy a frog. I don't know what frogs you people are looking at, but anyway. This next clip was shared by Sunny Vader on YouTube. The footage was captured by campers in Clearwater County, Alberta last month. The uploader had been tearing down their camp when they spotted this large, dark figure lurking in the trees nearby. He managed to quietly capture the thing on camera before it made its way back into the woods. They probably thought it was a bear at first, but after zooming in on the thing with the camera, they probably immediately changed their mind. It seems to be standing upright. Not that bears can't do that, but they usually won't for very long. It looks to me like this is a massive, hairy ape man spying on a couple hikers in the woods. On March 21st, something strange was spotted floating low over the rooftops in Saladin, Iraq, and yes, there's video of it. So as you can see, this strange object has a very odd shape. It looks like you took a flying saucer and then made it vertical. It almost looks like Boba Fett's Slave One from Star Wars. It also looks like it has these long trailing tendrils like a jellyfish, not like any drone I've ever seen. The object drifted smoothly over the buildings and a local managed to capture it on camera. The clip quickly spread online, just another piece of video to add to the growing list of UFO sightings this year. People who saw it described it as otherworldly and eerily silent. Some think it might be high-tech military equipment, others think this may actually be proof of something not from this world. But what do you all think? Now, stepping away from frogmen, aliens, and Sasquatch for a moment, let's talk about some mysterious jellyfish that were spotted just a few months back. The video shows two types of jellyfish that no one's ever seen before. At least ones that haven't been documented by science. The footage comes from researchers at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA. First up is this one here. A very bizarre looking creature. It's so hard to make sense of. It's just so different from anything we see day to day here on land. Almost looks like it belongs in space. As one of the researchers said while filming the thing though, "I've never seen one of those. Have you?" And then another researcher's like, "Nope." They also captured footage of this smaller jellyfish. NOAA scientists couldn't identify this one either. Both were found during a deep sea dive off the northeastern coast of the US near Newport, Rhode Island. We see so many supposed videos of Bigfoot, but barely ever any dogman videos. Well, that all changes today. This dashcam footage comes out of Bladensboro, North Carolina. A man drove up to his property late at night when he got the fright of his life. Some big hairy creature had been lurking just outside his home, but his headlights hit it and the thing scuttled off into the trees. Not in the most graceful manner, I must add. This dogman is rather dainty in its movements, does this kind of toddler hop as it moves away. It can't be too hard on Dogman though. He's not as used to being in the spotlight, always being outshined by the ever so famous Sasquatch.
I'm not gonna lie, this is impressive, fake or not. The everyday person is not able to lift a 30 to 50 pound pine tree like that and swing it over its head. Unless someone was purposely training in the gym like that with a barbell, which is roughly the same weight. But this thing picks it up like it's a baseball bat, swings it up and brings it down hard on another stack of branches. I was watching this video and was feeling a little anxious myself. When it looks at the camera, that's where it kind of loses me. because it looks a little too human-like, but has one of the most intense stares I've ever seen, as it locks eyes with us down the barrel of the camera. I couldn't tell you why he's ripping up the forest like this. Maybe he's building a little nest to attract some pretty female Bigfoot tests. Even at the end, this guy's height is quite huge, and he's standing next to pine trees. I'm not good at measuring by eye, so I'm gonna leave y'all to figure that one out. Overall, very entertaining video, despite it possibly being fake, because I was impressed by the raw strength. Ain't nothing like the comfort of driving in the middle of the night on a road that's covered in snow, making it even more difficult to even attempt at trying to drive away if something came after you. Thankfully, nothing does for these guys, who apparently spotted a Yeti, which is a part of the same family as a Bigfoot, fun fact, in Russia. This was all caught on camera with their dash cam, and on their drive, spotted, at least what it appears to me, a man ran and jumped over a snowbank, crossed the road, and into the darkness whence it came. This one doesn't appear as tall as the one in the first video, and it looks to be around my height. Maybe a younger Yeti? If my height is considered to be an average height of a baby Yeti, I'm going to scream. I think it's clear though that this wasn't CGI at least, because as they get closer to where they spotted the monster, we even get to see the footprints it left behind. At first, it looks like they didn't even realize the footprints were there until they stopped the car and reversed themselves to get a better look. Personally, that's an interesting little thing to have, because the majority of fake videos would either end at the sighting, but adding in such a natural human gesture like that of taking a double take of the footprints just seemed really intriguing to me. It just feels right to include more of the Yeti Bigfoot in these videos due to it being December and around Christmas time. The clip is pretty straightforward. We see what appears to be a white speck make its way across the side of a cliff at a pretty decent speed, and not the usual tempo that people struggle with while their feet are being absolutely vacuumed by the frozen water beneath them. The creators of this video also included some interesting footage of the supposed footprints around the area where it was seen. But this is where it loses me, because when they zoom in on the prints, sure, they look pretty cool at first, but footprints don't usually appear like they're walking on a tightrope. You gotta stagger them, not make them completely straight. I will give you props though, because I'm finding it difficult to how you would have managed to pull it off without leaving any prints yourself. Drone mayhaps?
In our number 5 spot today, we have the Maracoxy, a mysterious group of large, hairy, ape-like humanoids that bear a striking resemblance to the legendary Bigfoot. Standing taller than any known primate, these creatures are said to be covered in thick fur with eyes that pierce through the dense jungle foliage. Locals speak of eerie encounters where menacing figures watched from the shadows, emanating guttural sounds that sent chills down the spine. Highly territorial, the Maracoxy are believed to be fiercely protective of their domain. Those who unknowingly cross into their territory risk facing aggressive displays or even outright attacks. There are unsettling stories of explorers and hunters who ventured too far and vanished without a trace, their disappearances attributed to these elusive beings. Some speculate that the Maracoxy could be a lost branch of the evolutionary tree, or perhaps a primitive tribe shrouded in secrecy. Could there be truth to these stories, hiding just beyond the edge of the known world? In our number 4 spot today, we have the Sucariju gigante. Deep within the shadowy waters of the Amazon, legends speak of the Sucariju gigante, a serpent of unimaginable proportions that makes even the largest known anacondas seem like mere garter snakes. This isn't just another tall tale. Locals swear by sightings of this behemoth, describing a creature so massive it can coil itself around entire boats and drag them under without a ripple left behind. Fishermen share whispered stories of ripples that grow into waves, of enormous scales glimpsed just beneath the water's surface, and of friends who ventured into certain parts of the river, never to return. The jungle teems with unexplained disappearances and eerie accounts of livestock vanishing from riverbanks overnight. Could a snake of such colossal size truly evade scientific discovery? discovery, or is this just a manifestation of the Amazon's untamed spirit? Either way, the mere possibility keeps even the bravest souls a little wary, reminding us that some depths are better left unexplored. In our number 3 spot today, we have the Pachamama. In the deepest reaches of the Amazon rainforest, where the trees tower like ancient guardians, stories emerge about the Pachamama, the mother of the jungle. This isn't merely a snake, but a colossal serpent so immense that over time, the forest has grown over her, with trees and vines intertwining across her massive form. Travelers speak of moments where the jungle falls eerily silent and a strange tranquility washes over them. It's then that they realize they're standing upon something that's not Earth, but the scaled back of the Pachamama herself. Despite her seemingly immobile state, she possesses a hypnotic power that can entrance anyone who wanders too close, trapping them in an eternal spell. Those ensnared are said to become one with the jungle, their stories ending where the Pachamama's begins. Is she a benevolent protector of the wild, or a lurking danger awaiting the next unsuspecting soul? In our number 2 spot today, we have Latunda. Among the many eerie tales that echo through the Amazon rainforest, the legend of Latunda sends shivers down the spine like no other. Originating from Afro-Ecuadorian lore, this shape-shifting vampiric creature is said to prowl the jungle, searching for unsuspecting victims. Latunda has a terrifying ability. It can perfectly mimic the appearance and voice of a loved one, be it a family member, a close friend, or even a romantic interest. Everything seems normal, but there's always something subtly off that hints at the imposter beneath the facade. Luring people deeper into the tangled heart of the forest, Latunda isolates them from any chance of rescue. It's in this remote wilderness that she reveals her true form, draining the life force of her victims to sustain her own existence. Stories tell of people who followed a familiar face into the trees, only to disappear without a trace. And finally, in our number 1 spot today, we have the black jaguar. Amidst the labyrinth of vines and towering trees in the Amazon, tales abound of the black jaguar, known locally as the jaguar negro. This isn't your average big cat, it's a mystical, melanistic jaguar said to be larger than any ever documented. Cloaked in fur so dark it seems to absorb the light, this elusive predator moves through the jungle like a shadow-given form. Locals whisper that its eyes glow with an otherworldly light, piercing the inky darkness of the forest nights. Believed to possess supernatural powers, the black jaguar is more than just an animal. It's considered an omen of death. Hunters who have attempted to track this creature often vanish without a trace, fueling stories that it can traverse between the physical world and the spiritual realm. Some say it guards the secrets of the jungle, ensuring that its mysteries remain untouched by human hands. Whether rooted in reality or born from cautionary tales, these creatures embody the perils that can befall those who venture unprepared into the unknown. Exploration is a human instinct, but some secrets of the Amazon might be best left undisturbed. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I will see you again soon. Goodbye!
Number 10 is the Wendigo. A Wendigo originates from a folklore of Plains and Great Lakes natives as well as some First Nations. It's based in and around the East Coast forests of Canada, the Great Plains region of the United States, and the Great Lakes region of both the United States and Canada. Now, sometimes Wendigos are described as exceptionally thin, with the skull and skeleton pushing through its ash-colored mummy-like skin. Other stories describe the Wendigo as a well-fleshed giant who gets proportionately larger the more it eats. species. According to other legends, the Wendigo has a pointed or animal-like ears with antlers or horns sprouting on its head. A Wendigo's eyes have been described as sunken or glowing like hot coals. Sharp and pointy teeth, extremely bad breath, and bodily odor are often traits of a Wendigo. It is usually, but not always, endowed with powers such as superhuman strength and stamina that allows it to stalk, overpower, and devour its victims. Wendigos are usually credited with exceptional eyesight, hearing, and sense of smell. They're said to move with the speed of the wind and have the ability to walk across deep snow or even over open water without sinking. Now, it's said to invoke feelings of insatiable greed and hunger, and the desire to eat other humans, and propensity to end people's lives in those who fall under its influence. Number 9. El Chupacabra. The El Chupacabra is a legendary creature in the folklore of parts of the Americas. In 1975, a series of livestock killings in the small town of Mocha, Puerto Rico were attributed to the vampire of Mocha. Now, each of these animals were reported to have its body bled dry through a series of small circular incisions. A few months later, in August, an eyewitness reported seeing the creature in Puerto Rico, where as many as 150 farm animals and pets were reportedly killed. Now, physical descriptions of the creature vary. In Puerto Rico and in Latin America, it is generally described as a heavy creature, reptilian and alien-like, roughly the size of a small bear, and with a row of spines reaching from the neck to the base of the tail, while in southwestern United States, it is depicted as more dog-like. Shortly after the first reported incident in Puerto Rico, other animal deaths were reported in other countries, such as Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Dominican Republic, El Salvador, Honduras, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, Peru, and the United States. Coming at number 8, we have Bigfoot. Bigfoot, also commonly referred to as Sasquatch, is an ape-like creature said to inhabit the forest of North America. North American settlers started reporting sightings during the late 1800s and into the 1900s, with the occasional finding of footprints, sporadic encounters, and even grainy photos and videos adding to the mystery. Bigfoot is often described as a large, muscular, bipedal ape or human-like creature covered in black, dark brown, or dark reddish hair. Descriptions estimate the height of roughly 6 to 9 feet, with some depictions having the creature standing as tall as 10 to 15 feet. Some alleged observations describe Bigfoot as more human than ape, particularly in regards to the face. Common descriptions include broad shoulders, no visible neck, and long arms. Now, some alleged nighttime sightings have stated the creature's eyes glowed yellow or red. In 1971, multiple people in the Dailies, Oregon filed a police report describing an overgrown ape, and one of the men claimed to have sighted the creature in the scope of his rifle, but could not bring himself to shoot it because it looked more human than animal. Now, there have been hundreds, if not thousands, of Bigfoot sightings, and Bigfoot has come somewhat of a pop culture figure, as there are TV shows, movies, and fan clubs dedicated to him. Number 7. Lizard Man. In the folklore of Lee County, South Carolina, the Lizard Man of Scape or Swamp is an entity said to inhabit the swampland of the region. First mentioned in the late 1980s, the sightings and damage attributed to the creature yielded a significant amount of newspaper, radio, and television publicity. On July 14, 1988, the Lee County Sheriff's Office investigated a report of a car damaged overnight while parked at a home on the edge of Scape or Swamp. The car reportedly had tooth marks and scratches with hair and muddy footprints left behind. Sheriff Liston Truesdale noted that this was the start of various claims that eventually turned into a story about a lizard man in the swamp. Prompted by the news of the vehicle damage, local Christopher Davis reported to the sheriff that his car was damaged by a creature he described as green, wet-like, about 7 feet tall, and had 3 fingers, red eyes, skin like a lizard, and snake-like scales 2 weeks earlier. According to Christopher, he was driving home from working a night shift at a fast food restaurant when his car got a flat tire. After fixing it, he saw a creature walking towards him. He got in his car and began to drive, but the creature was soon on top of the car. He applied the brakes, causing the creature to roll off the car, giving him enough time to escape. Number 6. Loveland Frog. In Ohio folklore, the Loveland Frog is a legendary humanoid frog described as standing roughly 4 feet tall, allegedly spotted in Loveland, Ohio. In 1972, the Loveland Frog legend gained renowned attention when a Loveland police officer reported to a colleague that that he had seen an animal consistent with the description of the frogman. After a reported sighting in 2016, the second officer called a news station to report that he had shot and killed the same creature some weeks after the 1972 incident and had identified it as a large iguana that was missing its tail. Now, according to various legends, the creature was first sighted by a businessman or traveling salesman driving along an unnamed road late at night in 1955, with some versions of the story specifying the month of May. In one story, the driver was heading out of a Branch Hill neighborhood when he spotted 3 figures standing erect on their hind legs along the side of the road, each 3 to 4 feet in height, with leathery skin and frog faces. In other versions of the story, the creatures were spotted under or over a poorly lit bridge, and one held a wand over its head that fired a spray of sparks.
Another beefy boy, but this time he's got some red coloring unlike the usual black majority of us are used to. This video was uploaded to the channel Sasquatch Confessions, so I think the original filmer was left anonymous. From how I'm seeing it, the guy filming happened to find the Sasquatch on a trail path and had originally mistaken it for a bear, until it got up and walked away. It seemed to know he was there. I mean, yeah, you're in an open area and you're pointing a camera directly at him, I would notice you too. And then this alleged beast gets up to leave. He is quite the size. Tall? Not so much, but wide? Oh yes, he's got that moto build. Dare I say, he also looks mighty cuddly too. He looks like he's in his bulking phase for hibernation, and I can only imagine the hug I could give this thing. As for convincing me, I'm not sure, because he kind of walks away like he's a giant puppet. No arm swing, no stretching of muscles as he moves. The uploader of this video has the YouTube channel named Gulf Island Rock and titled this finding as Bigfoot Sasquatch sighting near Port Renfrew on Vancouver Island. All that's really given to us is the view of this guy's hairy gray back. Points for giving us another new color to see. Really refreshes the brain after a while of just seeing a sea of black fur. I was really waiting on something exciting for a video that was almost 2.5 minutes long. I was almost hoping the beast would turn around, see the camera guy, and just start chasing him. Something to keep the viewers engaged, you know? If it's fake, the costume design is pretty well done. It doesn't look like those cheap Party City animal outfits where you can see the plastic shine under the light. I give it a good 4 out of 5 on the cosplay aspect, but a 2 out of 10 for intriguing footage. No offense. I'm not the one to judge Bigfoot and what he consumes, but drinking water out of the swamp? You must have a gut of steel to be able to stomach that. All its dangerous organisms and probably leeches that live in there? It seems like this person was on a canoe or something trying to get this shot, because why would you dare walk bare in it? And manage to catch an alleged Bigfoot taking a sip of the yummy swamp water, and then ends up getting a little too silly and starts splashing around in the water. He's just a silly little creepy guy. If this is also some wild animal though, the person who filmed this should be considered lucky that it didn't start charging its way over. This one also seems much smaller than the other Bigfoots we've seen, because I'm always expecting a guy who's at least 10 feet with their feet bigger than my head. This is more like a medium foot from my scientific perspective. What is the sudden wave of these baby foots? We want to see big boys towering over us, whacking pine trees around like the first video. I want to be so scared that I never want to step foot into the woods again. Speaking of, these guys seem to have stumbled upon an itty bitty Sasquatch on a hike somewhere in the Provo Canyon. It doesn't seem to notice them until closer to the end of the video, where the alleged creature stands up and terrifies our crew of hikers. Yes, shaking running camera footage never fails to make the adrenaline rise. Works in every found footage horror movie. But come on guys, this thing doesn't even look that big. It doesn't even have the same muscle mass as the other monsters in this video. I'm not convinced, and I'm disappointed. Show me the big back boys. Here we go, some more big backs. But sadly, this clip is so short, I am unable to fully be immersed in this experience with the uploader. I will give props though that the atmosphere setup for this footage is perfect. We got the fog, we got the cloudy sky that's making it look darker, and we got the snow that reminds us about all the absolute decay that surrounds us. Perfect Yeti footage. This guy looks like a giant snowball because of his round shape and white fur. Another Bigfoot to add onto my list for cuddling. For once, I gotta say I wish this video was a bit more clear. You did a bit too much on the scuff for this one. I can't even make out what the creature is doing to even describe it to y'all. Is it bent over? Is it making snowballs to hurl at you? But I will say, get the heck out of the open area. You are leaving yourself too vulnerable for these things to come and grab grab you, which you thankfully seem to realize at the end when you freak out and run away. As you should. Our curiosity should only be nurtured for so long. Yippee! Another Bigfoot video out of the park. You guys are seemingly loving these if I'm being forced to make more of them. I also love just making fun and exploring them with you, even if they are just really big, sweaty men in costumes.
At number 10 is Vasuki, the snake coiled around Lord Shiva's neck. This is a prominent figure in Indian mythology. This mythical serpent isn't inherently terrifying, but its presence holds a deep significance. Imagine a colossal snake, its scales glistening in divine light. You see, Vasuki represents duality, signifying both destruction and creation at the same time. When Shiva dances the Tandava, Vasuki's venom-dripping head is a symbol of destruction, but it also symbolizes the cyclical nature of life. It's sort of like the yin and the yang, the balance of opposites. Now, while Vasuki might not be a nightmare-inducing creature in and of itself, its importance in Indian folklore is a gateway to understanding the intricate tapestry of myths that pepper this subcontinent. Essentially, the god wrapped the snake around its neck to prevent venom from dripping down into his body. At number 9 is Kalaya, the snake monster from Indian folklore, which comes from a spine-tingling tale that will surely give you the creeps. Imagine a colossal serpent with multiple heads, its slithering body coiled beneath the surface of the Yamuna River, ready to pounce on unsuspecting victims. But there's more to the story than just a giant snake. It's also a symbolic battle between good and evil, because when Lord Krishna confronted Kalaya, he danced on the serpent's many heads, taming the monster and purifying the river. It's a lesson about the triumph of religious over the malevolence, wrapped in a chilling legend that still echoes through the depths of Indian folklore. If you're enjoying this video so far, please support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Most Amazing, and ringing that notification bell. At number 8 is the Makara. Picture this, you're sailing down the Ganges River at night and suddenly a massive sea monster with the body of a fish and the snout of a crocodile emerges from the inky depths. I don't know, that's Makara for you. Sort of like a hybrid of Aquaman's pet and something out of your worst aquarium. In Indian mythology, the Makara is a symbol of water, often associated with the goddess Ganga. But despite being associated with a goddess, it's not always friendly. It's not always this friendly, benevolent creature. Some tales depict Makara as a ferocious beast that swallows people whole. I mean, considering that it's a beast of the ocean, considering it's a beast of the water, that makes a lot of sense. So the next time you're out for a moonlit boat ride in India, keep your hands and feet inside the vessel at all times, because you might not want to take your chances with this not so friendly sea monster. At number 7 is the Vitra Ahi, a spine-chingling entity from Indian folklore which lurks in the shadowy depths of ancient tales. Imagine yet another colossal serpent, but this time it's got 1,000 heads, wrapped around the very essence of drought itself. In these stories, Vitra Ahi is synonymous with drought, a creature that hoards water, preventing rainfall and causing devastation. It's not just a monstrous serpent, it embodies our fear of drought and scarcity. This folklore underscores the importance of water in a country like India, where monsoons are life-sustaining events. Vitra Ahi serves as a reminder to respect and cherish this vital and often underrated resource. So the next time you're sipping your cool glass of water, think about Vitra Ahi, a creature so disturbing in its symbolism it transcends the realm of myth into a haunting reality. At number 6 is Mythosura, I hope. The buffalo-headed demon. Imagine a creature with the body of a human, but a head of a ferocious buffalo, and you've got yourself a true nightmare. In Indian mythology, this dude was no ordinary villain. He was a shape-shifting demon who could take on various forms, making him almost impossible to identify and defeat. The story goes that his reign of terror was so intense that the gods themselves couldn't handle it. They had to eventually combine their divine powers to create another powerful goddess, Durga, who battled this minotaur-like creature for 9 days and nights. Eventually, she finally vanquished him, but not before he'd given us one of the most haunting tales in Indian folklore.
Number 5. Bat Squatch. The Bat Squatch is a flying cryptid that was allegedly seen near Mount St. Helens in the 1980s. This creature is said to have yellow eyes, a dog-like muzzle, blue fur, sharp teeth, bird-like feet, and a leathery bat-like wings that span up to 50 feet. In addition, Bat Squatch is said to be 9 feet tall and has the ability to affect car engines. In April 1994, Brian Canfield was driving in Washington's Pierce County when his truck suddenly died. He said a large creature landed in front of him that was human-like, 9 feet tall, with bat-like wings and a coat of blue fur. A possible second sighting was reported in 2009 near Mount Shasta in California. Several hikers witnessed a huge creature with leathery wings spanning 50 feet fly out of a crevice in the mountain. At first, an eyewitness described the creature as having a head similar to a pterodactyl. However, upon reconsideration, the witness claimed that it was more akin to a flying fox bat. Then, in June 2011, a man was in his yard walking his dog and said, "I saw something flying in the sky. It had bat wings, blue fur, and had a face similar to eyes growing red. It was about 9 feet tall at the least, and I watched it just fly away." Number 4. Jersey Devil. The Jersey Devil is a legendary creature said to inhabit the forests of the Pine Barrens in South Jersey. This creature is often described as a flying biped with hooves, but there are many variations. The common description is that of a bipedal kangaroo or wyvern-like creature with a horse or goat-like head, leathery bat-like wings, horns, small arms with clawed hands, legs with cloven hooves, and a forked or pointed tail. It has been reported to move quickly and is often described as emitting a high-pitched, blood-curdling scream. According to popular folklore, the Jersey Devil originated with a Pine Barrens resident named Jade Leeds, also known as Mother Leeds. The legend states that Mother Leeds had 12 children, and after discovering she was pregnant for the 13th time, she cursed the child in frustration, declaring that the child would be the devil. Born as a normal child, the 13th child transformed into the creature with hooves, a goat's head, bat wings, and a forked tail. Growling and screaming, the child beat everyone with its tail before flying up the chimney and heading into the pines. It was in some versions of the tale that Mother Leeds was supposedly a witch, and the child's father was the devil himself. Then one of the first reported Jersey Devil sightings was in 1812, when Joseph Bonaparte, Napoleon's older brother, claimed he saw the Jersey Devil while hunting near his Bordentown estate. Number 3. Mothman. In West Virginia folklore, the Mothman is a humanoid creature reportedly seen in the Point Pleasant area from November 5th, 1966 to December 15th, 1967. The first newspaper report was published on the Point Pleasant Register, dated November 16th, 1966, titled "Couple See Man-Sized Bird, Creature, Something." The national press soon picked up on the reports and helped spread the news story across the United States. On November 15th, 1996, 2 young couples from Point Pleasant, Dickie and Linda Maxwell, and Steve and Mary Mallet, told police that they had seen a large white creature whose eyes glowed red, standing at the side of the road near the TNT area, the site of the former World War II munitions plant. Linda Scarberry described it as a slender, muscular man, about 7 feet tall with white wings, and said that she was unable to discern its face due to the hypnotic effects of its eyes. Distressed, the witnesses drove away at a high speed and said that the creature flew after their car, making a screeching sound. It pursued them as far as Point Pleasant city limits, and during the next few days, other people reported similar sightings after local newspapers reported it. 2 volunteer firemen who saw it said it was a large bird with red eyes. Number 2. Skunk Ape. The skunk ape is a cryptid ape-like creature that inhabits forests and swamps in the southeastern United States. Perhaps most prominent in the state of Florida, the alleged creature is also commonly referred to as the Florida Bigfoot and is often compared to or called the cousin of Bigfoot, a prominent subject within North America popular culture. Now, the skunk ape is commonly described as a bipedal ape-like creature, approximately 5 to 7 feet tall and covered in malted reddish-brown hair. It is named for its foul odor, often described as being similar to a skunk. The skunk ape has been recorded as appearing in Florida, Georgia, and Alabama folklore since European settlers first occupied the region. In 1818, local newspapers reported a story that spoke of a man-sized monkey raiding food stores and stalking fishermen along the shore. And coming at number 1 is skinwalkers. In Navajo culture, a skinwalker is a type of harmful witch who has the ability to turn into, possess, or disguise themselves themselves as an animal. According to some traditions, skinwalkers were once healers and medicine men who were corrupted by their own power and turned evil. By draping the hide of certain animals over themselves, the witch takes on the form and traits of the animal. Now in doing so, the witch gains the animal's strength, speed, and endurance. They sometimes transform themselves into animals simply for the purpose of traversing great distances quickly. They may also transform in order to wreak havoc on others, as well as their identity will be hidden and they'll be able to escape quickly if necessary. Now, they curse people and cause great suffering and death, one Navajo writer explained. At night, their eyes grow red like hot coals. It is said that if you see the face of a skinwalker, they have to kill you. If you see one and know who it is, you will die. If you see them and you don't know them, they have to kill you to keep you from finding out who they are. Skinwalkers are also telepathically linked with each other, enhancing their coordination during hunts and fights, but allowing little or no privacy at any time. Now they can also copy animal or human voices to lure victims to feed on. They generally copy the sound of a human that is in need of help, so make sure you don't get tricked.
What would you do if you were out on the water and you saw this?
What the is that? Go, I don't know what that is, Dave.
This video was uploaded to the Residual Payments YouTube channel back in 2013, and what's freaky about this one is that you see all this movement on the water on the left side of the screen, and then boom, we get something breaching the water much further away. So was this a pair of creatures, or more horrifyingly, just one big animal? Another thing I love about the video is the audible sounds of fear and panic coming from the couple filming. They sound genuinely shocked and freaked out. The story behind this one is that a woman named Patricia and her fiance Dave had been fishing in Sanibel, Florida on October 6th, 2013, when they spotted something in the water. It was a serpentine creature, longer than their boat, about 20 feet or about 6 meters. They watched as the thing sped through the water before splashing up, looking like it had wrapped itself around something before descending back down into the water. The pair had also lived in Florida all their lives and had seen plenty of dolphins and manatees over the years, stressing that what they encountered here was not a manatee or a dolphin. Just what in the 7 levels of hell is this thing? Not a whole lot of information on this video. All we know is it was shot in Santa Fe, New Mexico back in the summer. Sightings of Chupacabra-like creatures have been reported all over New Mexico, and by extension the rest of the southwestern United States, Mexico, and parts of South America. So could this thing be a goat-sucking monster or something else? Some say it looks like a skinwalker mid-transformation, or just a very unhealthy looking person. Whatever it is though, if I lived in New Mexico, I'd probably be switching states. I just don't need something like that around me. What do you all think of this one? Genuine? Hoax? Share your thoughts down below. What you're looking at here is known as the Gable film, a piece of footage supposedly capturing a dogman creature on camera. It's a pretty creepy piece of footage. That old film grain quality gives it this very visceral, uneasy feeling about it. There's a lot of mystery behind this one, but the film was supposedly shot in Michigan at some point in the 70s. A man is being filmed on a snowmobile when the camera cuts to a hill. Crouched atop it is a dark, hairy-looking figure which begins bounding towards the camera, and then this happens. The legend of the Dogman dates all the way back to 1887, when a group of lumberjacks in Wexford County reported seeing this huge, hairy creature with the body of a man and the head of a dog. They described it standing on 2 legs, like a person, but with glowing eyes, sharp teeth, and claws. Since then, sightings have popped up all over Michigan, especially in the northern parts of the state. People claim they've spotted this eerie creature prowling the woods, particularly in areas like the Manistee National Forest. It's said to be about 7 feet tall, covered in fur, with the body of a human, but the face of a snarling dog. This footage here was supposedly taken at the Roswell crash site. Again, we have a nice, creepy, grainy piece of footage here. Now, if this footage is indeed real, it would have been kept under wraps for a very long time. There was a ton of secrecy surrounding Roswell, but is it possible this footage came from a whistleblower? I definitely love to believe it, but I have my doubts. I've always been fascinated by the Roswell case itself though. We all know the story. In 1947, a mysterious object crashed near Roswell, New Mexico. It was described as a flying disc, but then almost overnight the story changed and authorities said it wasn't a flying saucer and that it was a weather balloon. But in the decades since, whistleblowers have come come forward saying they know the real story, saying they saw alien bodies being recovered from the crash site, alien bodies that have been described pretty much exactly like the ones seen in this clip. Now, what exactly are these things? Walking pairs of pants? Well, they've been dubbed the Fresno nightcrawlers, and they've been captured on camera more than once. The clip here was taken in Yosemite National Park. This next video was actually the first time the creatures were ever caught on camera. Take a look at this. It all started with a man named Jose in Fresno, California. He had a security camera set up outside his house, mostly to keep an eye on his lawn. One night, he was woken up by his dogs barking. He checked the camera footage, and that's when he saw this strange, white, almost ghostly figure walking across his lawn. It was tall, thin, and had long, spindly legs that seemed to glide over the grass. Jose was freaked out and woke up his brother to show him the footage. His brother even said he found small, weird footprints outside, but by the time investigators showed up to check it out, all the evidence had been washed away. Now, the footage that initially blew up online has kind of disappeared. The only remaining video is this grainy clip taken from a monitor. There was another sighting in 2020 in Billings, Montana, on a home surveillance system, which also caught footage of these mysterious nightcrawlers. This one's a lot harder to see, but pay close attention to the dark right-hand corner of the screen. So what are these things? They don't really resemble any known animal, and they definitely don't fit your typical cryptid profile like Bigfoot or Mothman. Some people think they could be extraterrestrial beings or interdimensional creatures, or maybe more ghostly apparitions. But skeptics also say they could just be the result of weird camera glitches or that low quality playing tricks on our eyes.
And number 5 is Papa Purusha, the embodiment of evil itself. Hinduism doesn't have a devilish figure like Satan, but it sure knows how to keep you on your moral toes. According to ancient Vedas, it's all about self-discipline. Your undisciplined senses are like little demons, and your well-behaved ones are your personal squad of gods. In Hinduism, evil is all about a lack of self-control, making you your own worst enemy. But here's a chilling twist. You see, he's the sinister incarnation of sin itself, lurking in the dark corners of everyone's soul. Think of this guy as the ultimate bad vibe, the sinister impulse that pushes folks to do terrible things. So remember, your actions have consequences, and Papa Purusha is always pulling the strings. And number 4 is Rakshasa Sanskrit. Sorry for butchering that. In Hindu mythology, this translates to a type of demon or goblin. These guys have the power to change their shape at will and appear as animals, as monsters, or in the case of female demons, as beautiful women. They're most powerful in the evening, particularly during the dark period of the new moon, but they're dispelled by the rising sun. They especially detest sacrifices and prayer. The most powerful among them is their king, the 10-headed Rava, a female demon who is well known for her attempt to eliminate the infant Krishna by offering him milk from her poisoned milk. She was, however, drained of her life essence, we'll say, by the young god. Now, not all of these demons are equally evil. Some are more akin to nature spirit, while others are the traditional opponents to gods. This term, however, generally applies to those demons who haunt cemeteries, eat the flesh of people, and drink the milk of cows dry as if by magic. This supernatural being is no run-of-the-mill ghost or demon. It's a 7-headed snow-white horse that emerged from the churning cosmic ocean. This horse represents power, swiftness, and divine significance in Hindu mythology. Yet it's not all rainbows and sunshine. It's also got a sinister side. In some legends, these 7-headed horses serve as the mount for Lord, the King of the Heavens. But here's where it gets eerie. It says that this spectral steed has the ability to materialize from the netherworld when trouble brews, heralding doom. So while it might seem majestic at first glance, these guys harbor an ominous, otherworldly aura. It's a reminder that even the most beautiful divine creatures can possess a dark and haunting side. At number 2 are the ahi. This creature from Indian folklore is one eerie entity you wouldn't want to cross paths with. Described as a massive and venomous serpent, because there's all kinds of those in Indian folklore, ahi's true origins trace back to Rig Veda, an ancient Indian text. Picture this, a monstrous snake with a craving for destruction. It's often associated with droughts, symbolizing the devourer of water, leaving the land parched. But the real horror lies in its shape-shifting abilities. You see, ahi could take the form of anything, making it almost impossible to detect. And when you least expect it, it strikes, bringing chaos and fear to those it encounters. A creature that leaves a trail of devastation in its wake, ahi's legacy in Indian folklore is a spine-chilling one. And at number 1 is King Ravan, the 10-headed. The great King Ravan, known in Indian folklore as a formidable figure, isn't precisely a creature, but he's an essential character in many chilling tales. Ravan, the antagonist in the epic Ramayana, is a 10-headed demon king, often depicted with 20 arms. He symbolizes the ultimate evil and embodies the consequences of greed and arrogance. While not a literal creature, his portrayals in folklore are indeed nightmare-inducing. His golden city, Lanka, is another significant element in these tales, and it's said to be a place of otherworldly beauty and enchantment, yet it's a dark and treacherous domain. Ravan's stories often serve as a reminder that the scariest entities can be found within ourselves, and the consequences of unchecked power can be hauntingly real.